And hello, this is season 1 through the eyes of those who've seen season 3. I'm John Clay of Clark Kent's Rock and Roll Revue, and we will be talking about episode 2 of the first season of Twin Peaks as if you've already seen seasons 2 and 3. So if you haven't already seen them, then you really shouldn't be watching this video. I've made some notes. Let's go through them. Okay, so the Horns are basically sitting at their dining room table and they're interrupted by Jerry Horn, who is a disruptive, malevolent force in the homestead of the Horn family. Unfortunately for the wife and Audrey and Johnny, Ben is going to be a little bit distracted by what Jerry's having to say about sandwiches and his time in Iceland. We're getting various tropes from old 80s soap operas, i.e. you've got immoral businessmen going to a brothel, not necessarily caring much about a death of a very prominent person in the community. They're more interested in the fact that the Norwegians were not going to sign in any way, shape or form the article that would help the actual Ghostwood project to continue or even begin. So now we've got those little things out of the way, let's talk about the stuff which is really quite interesting. If you can look at Donna and James as being an interesting part of the Twin Peaks mythology, then you're a far better man than I, because even though I have sentimental feelings for those characters and what they brought to the show in terms of not quite knowing where their love story is going to go, I was much more interested in, well, certain mysteries. I don't know if we ever had it cleared up, but there's a man standing behind a tree when Leo agrees to meet Bobby and Mike at a rendezvous point in Ghostwood. We don't know if we find out who that mystery man is, or do we? Or maybe it's Jacques Renault. He seems a bit too slight to be the rather stout character that we know to be the third man who was with Leo, Laura and Ronette in that little cabin. But yeah, I don't know who the mystery man is. If anyone can tell me, that would be good, because this is a conversation, not just a video. Nadine's Drape Runner obsession could be symptomatic of her trying to figure out a problem and fix it, so that it gives her something to focus on apart from obviously the terrible thing that's happening behind her back. Ed and Norma getting together. I mean, it's not terrible in our eyes because we're not really trained to like Nadine, but if you really think about it, she is quite the victim here, even though it's Ed who is just as part of a marriage with her, and it takes two. Essentially, him feeling sorry for her can only go so far. Him marrying her out of some kind of sense of duty. At first, I thought that was a good thing, but ultimately, it's a lie. So I can only feel sorry for Nadine at this point. But yeah, maybe she feels that when she gets rich with her invention, she may be able to convince Ed that she is a worthy spouse. Who knows? One of the good things that I do like about this revisitation of Twin Peaks is that we're not worried about where Cooper's soul is. We're not interested in any of the mad mythology and trying to figure it out at all. We're just enjoying these characters reveal themselves to us. For example, Cooper's intuitive deduction, I've got it written here, exploits the West's fascination with Eastern esoteric practices. When Sherlock Holmes would maybe be putting pieces together for some kind of conclusion, Columbo would be quizzing his main suspect, Batman would be using some kind of technology to piece together the facts of Robin in the Batcave, Cooper is throwing rocks in a wood, the technique which he says he got from a dream, which is in some way inspired by the Tibetan's plight. I think this is also a good way of the script using Cooper's technique to introduce or reintroduce certain characters via, before he throws the rock, you have Lucy telling us who they are and their relation to Laura Palmer, who is the central moving point of this plot so far. Audrey Horn in the R&R suspects a connection between her father and Laura, but we don't really find out exactly what that connection is until a bit later. Again, she starts to dance as though she's in a strange dream. Again, brilliant for us who've seen season 3 because it makes us think about what we've seen before in a completely different way. Albert, I think, when he's introduced into the show, is a representative of what Cooper is trying to get away from, i.e. all the horrible things that we see happen in Las Vegas and the North Dakota via season 3. These are things that Cooper believes isn't in Twin Peaks, and in fact, he goes as far as to suggest to Albert, I'm sure in a later episode, that ultimately he has never seen anything quite like the wondrousness and the innocence of Twin Peaks, and yet we're going to find out that everything that Cooper associates with Twin Peaks is going to be in some way tainted by who Laura really is, who Leland really is, and just exactly what is going on in One-Eyed Jacks and drugs and whatnot. So I think that's pretty much it. Of course, that's not it. You've got the dream that Cooper has, which in many ways seems to be a calling out from different realities that Cooper is sensitive to, as to what could be happening. I mean, if you think about it, the editing booth must have been rife with lots of anxious discussion about how they were actually going to take parts of the pilot episode and weave it into the strange dream sequence, which would eventually reveal the Killer Bob character to be synonymous with Leland's spirit. Maybe, just maybe, we're getting a glimpse of Cooper seeing a reality where the Twin Peaks plot was far more simpler, and it really is a case of a killer in a basement who's quite crazed. But then again, this is all open to interpretation. There is no wrong answer. Only right ones, I should think. Let's see. I think that's about it. I'll see you guys next Sunday, because this will be a weekly thing. And yeah, keep watching and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on anything.